Hello and welcome to the Deck Tech. I'm Ian Duke, and joining me is Pro Tour mainstay Patrick Dickmann. Patrick, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Hi.
It's great to have you here. Now, you're playing a deck this weekend featuring a number of new notable Amonkhet cards. We're calling it Jund Gods.
Yeah, that's right.
Tell us just a very quick overview of the deck. Don't get into cards. We'll jump into those in just a second,
right.
and why you chose it.
Well, I chose the deck because when I first looked at the spoiler, I thought that someone who's like breaking the gods. I'm not saying that I'm the one who broke them, but like who has a deck with gods in them should be in a good position because the gods are really hard to deal with, and they are quite powerful. At least the green and the red one, which are in my opinion the best. And the deck, it plays very much like a Mardu deck, but it replaces planeswalkers with gods. And when I was testing, I mean, usually the gods won against the planeswalkers, and other than that, you're doing pretty similar things. And yeah, that's how I ended up playing the deck.
Makes a lot of sense, yeah. Resilient, hard to deal with planeswalkers well. Love it. So let's jump into the cards and see what we've got here. So yeah, Amonkhet All-Stars here. You've got 2 copies of Glorybringer, and then as you mentioned, 3 copies of Hazoret, the red god, and 2 copies of Ronus the Indomitable, the green god. You know, you told us a little bit about the gods already. Tell us more about Glorybringer here.
Yeah, I mean, Glorybringer is obviously a very powerful card, and I started with more than 2. But the problem is that it's also quite expensive and quite clunky. So I didn't want to draw more, so I shaved down some. But it's still a very big tempo swing. It's a hard-hitting dragon. I mean, you don't have to exert it right away, but if you exert it, you get to kill something, and your opponent still has to deal with it at some point. So it's just an overall good card. And I mean, I have better, I think there's better 5-drops for specific matchups, and I have those in the sideboard. But I think that for the main deck, the best catch-all card is Glorybringer, which is why I chose to play 2 of them.
It makes a ton of sense. Now, on the topic of the gods, of course, you know, they're indestructible, they're powerful, they're big for their casting cost, but they do have this somewhat of a drawback here. How much did you feel you needed to build around the drawback of these gods with the rest of the cards in your deck, and how much of a concession was that?
I mean, it was not much of a concession because the green and the red god, they play together quite well. And the energy seam, I mean, you get to dump your hand on the table quite fast. And all the creatures are pretty big. For example, I'm also, we're going to see that later, I'm also playing for cards like Heart of Kiran, which activate Ronus. And I mean, the dream scenario is obviously to have a Ronus and place the red god next to him. And that way you will have 2 indestructible giant attackers, and I think it's very hard to beat that unless you get hit by Ulamog or something like that. So it was not much of a concession, but you have to keep in mind that those probably pair best.
Sounds awesome. Now, you mentioned an energy package. Let's take a look at the next set of cards here. Here are some familiar energy cards and some familiar Kaladesh cards in general. You know, we've seen these a bunch in the last season before, but any special notes about how these cards interact in your deck specifically?
I mean, as I said, the core is very comparable to Martin Juice's deck from the last Pro Tour, where he made a top 8 with Jund Energy, and basically replaced some of the vehicles with gods. I mean, all the energy cards, they are pretty fairly priced. They're quite cheap and they're quite large. So yes, I mean, a lot of the energy cards are just really, really good. I mean, a 1 mana 3/4, even if it does not come down on turn 1, is quite impressive. Long Toss Cup is sometimes very good and sometimes very bad. This is why I'm only playing 2, because obviously it's great if you just slam it on turn 2 and you get to make it huge and keep swinging it in, but that doesn't always happen. And I mean, Heart of Kiran, we probably heard a lot about already. So I mean, the card is just awesome. Of course, it's a little less effective in my deck because I'm not playing any main deck planeswalkers. But the gods, for example, they are oftentimes not active right away, but they're still creatures, so they get to crew the heart.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah.
Unlike the Theros gods, which weren't creatures unless you met their condition, these Amonkhet gods are creatures all the time, and so they can crew vehicles. That's really cool.
Yeah, that's really nice. And it's also an artifact, and we also have Scrap Heap Scrounger as another, format all stuff probably. And I mean, these cards, they just all play together quite well. Due to the energy package, you get to fix your mana really, really nicely because of Aether Hub, and of course Attune with Aether, which is, in my opinion, one of the best cards in Standard right now. And yeah, that's all I have right now, I guess.
Sounds great. Yeah, no complaints with this package. Let's take a look at what we have next here. A couple more energy cards here. Bristling Hydra, Voltaic Brawler.
Yeah, just, I mean, Voltaic Brawler is probably one of the weaker cards in the deck. I mean, he's still very good, but obviously he's a little one-dimensional because all he does is attacking quite nicely. But he still crews the Heart of Kiran. Unfortunately, his interaction with the Green God is pretty bad because you don't get to attack with them both at the same time. But I think the card is still worth playing, and I mean, obviously you want a lot of aggressively costed cards. This is probably like the best in slot then. And Bristling Hydra is just in there because of thing like the format is filled with a lot of point removal, and Bristling Hydra like is just a good card. She's just almost unkillable for some decks.
Yeah, noticing the theme of resilient creatures here: Bristling Hydra, Scrap Heap Scrounger, gods, vehicles. Makes a lot of sense that you're really advantaged against removal decks. So taking a look at rounding things out here with some of the spells here, we finally see some more of what black is for in the deck here with Fatal Push and Unlicensed Disintegration. You mentioned Attune with Ether, just one of the best all-around cards when you do have an energy package in your deck. And Blossoming Defense, more resilience against point removal.
Yeah, I really like Blossoming Defense. I think it's just like the opportunity cost to play the card is really low. I mean, it's still a sort of decent combo trick. I mean, you sometimes just get to kill something by blocking, but if you hit one of your opponent's removal spells, or like they make a mistake, for example, you get to attack, they are thinking, yeah, I'm just going to use this removal at instant speed while although I'm tapped out, then it's like such a huge blowout if you get to attack for 6 instead of like losing your creature.
That's right. All of your creatures hit so hard too that if you can get them with a Blossoming Defense, it's just a huge swing. That makes a lot of sense.
And it protects gods from the very few cards that interact with them, like for example Dark Salvation, or maybe Grasp of Darkness for the red god, or Cast Out, things like that, or Stasis Snare. So just an overall good card in my opinion.
Very cool. Coming up next, I think we have a look at your mana base here. 4 Ether Hub, again a staple in the energy decks. Blooming Marsh, the black-green fast land. Game Trail, some more dual lands here. We can take a look at the next here and round out the mana base as well. A few basics here to fetch with Attune with Ether, including 1 Swamp and a Sheltered Thicket, just for a little bit of extra mana and cycling there. In general, you know, how is your mana base here? Is it generally run pretty smooth? Do you ever get tripped up on colors?
I think it runs pretty nicely. The Black Splash is almost for free because the green-black fast land, it just replaces forest because like it's going to come into play untapped anyway. And Ether Hub is obviously like any color. The 1 Swamp is pretty much the only concession that you need to make to like play black cards, but I think it's well worth it. And like 2 days back, I asked Frank Karsten for his opinion on the mana base because he always like he's good at math and he likes to do mana bases. He wanted to play another cycle land, and the cycle, like obviously the more duels you have in your deck, the better your mana is going to be, but it's also going to become slower. And even the one that comes into play tap land has already been an issue sometimes, so I decided to just play another mountain. But other than that, he also agreed with the mana base, and I would say it's quite good. Yeah, it's quite solid.
Yeah, that's great. You can certainly do worse than agreeing with Frank Karsten on your mana base. So that sounds awesome. The deck looks great. Hopefully we'll see some gods in action throughout the weekend here. And yeah, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
This is Ian Duke signing off from Deck Tech for Patrick Dickmann.
Bye.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Draft Viewer. I'm Lou Scott Vargas here with Ben Friedman, and we're going to take a look at your draft.
Yeah, we're going to take a look.
So this was your first pack, and you quickly narrowed it down to 2 choices.
Yeah, so the first pack shows up, and I'm thinking, all right, wow. Well, they don't make it easy on you. Okay, we can take Neheb the Worthy, which is a great gold card, a great way to start your draft. I'm not thrilled with the idea of committing to 2 colors right away. I also then look, I'm like, oh, Kenra Charioteer is another 2-color card, but not as good. If you're going to commit to 2 colors, you want to commit with Neheb.
Not as worthy.
Not as worthy as Neheb. Neheb is worthy. But Electrify, I like the fact that it keeps you a little open. I don't love the red-black archetype in general relative to the other color combos in terms of power level.
Right.
So I'm thinking, you know, I'm agonizing a little bit over the decision. And I decide, all right, I'll stay a little flexible. We'll take Electrify and we'll see what shows up.
All right.
So Electrify's the pick.
So taking a look at your next pack, this is a different pack.
It's a different pack, but I get deja vu. I pick it up and I'm like, oh God, what do we do now? Okay, so I'm like, all right, steady breath. You know, what are we gonna do here? So, all right, we have an Electrify already. We're interested in, basically there are 2 options here for me, and they are Green Cartouche or Neheb the Worthy #2.
Right.
And you know, I'm reluctant to pick the Neheb because I just passed the Neheb. It's likely that Gab Nassif to my left just picked up the Neheb. Green Cartouche is also good. I agonize a little bit more over it, and I think, no, the payoff for Neheb is very high. If I'm already one of the two colors, I might as well take it over the green cartouche. I'm not really sure. Maybe that's a mistake, but that's what happened.
All right, and then going into pack 3, your choice is not quite as difficult here.
Yeah, now thank God I can just easily snap off a Thresher Lizard as the most powerful 3-drop.
All right, so next we're gonna take a look at kind of how your deck got built. So we're gonna look at it by curve, and as we draft, you're gonna see the cards over there and the cards added to your deck that you did end up playing. So taking a look at the next 3 picks here, you ended up getting a Fling and a Brute Strength, and actually relevantly to your sideboard, a Talkrop Elite.
Yeah, so at some point I'm thinking like, well, you know, if the black isn't there, I do love red-white as an archetype, my favorite archetype to draft in the format. So I take it kind of hoping that maybe something comes together. Doesn't come together, but now we've got these 5, and I'm not thrilled, but there's tentatively a game plan.
Yeah, and Brute Strength plus Fling plus Neheb, these all work together.
Right.
Thresher Lizard also wants you to get down to 1 or fewer cards.
Yeah,
so
Hellbent aggro.
there you go. Your next 3 picks add a couple more cards, Splendid Agony and Minotaur Sure Shot.
Yep.
And again, another Minotaur or removal spell. This is kind of progressing the way you want it to.
Yeah, in theory, I'm thinking, okay, we have a plan coming together. I'd like a few more 2-drops maybe because we're not quite as low on the curve as we need to be, but I can start calming down. I have a game plan.
Yeah, so you're gonna add 3 more cards here, and you picked up a 1-drop, Bloodlust Insider.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was the only other low drop in the packs. That's where we ended up, and I'm going into the next pack hoping to get more low drops.
All right, so we're gonna take a look at the first 3 picks out of the next pack. So this is where your draft takes a slightly different direction. You get a Ruthless Sniper.
Right. I'm pretty happy about Ruthless Sniper. I mean, it's a good card. I'm thinking, okay, well, you know, now a little bit of cycling. I mean, I think, oh, wow, Neheb and Ruthless Sniper is kind of a sick combination.
Right.
Things are starting to come together. I get another Minotaur. I get a final reward. Actually, this final reward pick I was stressing about because there was also a Glory Bound Initiate in that pack, and I'm thinking, man, I still really want to play white.
Maybe trying to pivot,
yeah,
right.
but not worth it enough. I already had these powerful cards, so this is where we ended up.
All right, taking a look at the next 3 picks here. Still no cards that work with Ruthless Sniper. In fact, you've got 0 cards in your deck right now that work with Ruthless Sniper, but it's there. So we know it's gonna get there eventually.
Yeah.
Pick up Baleful Emmet and a Soul Stinger, another final reward.
So we're okay here. I'm still, you know, I'm still wondering like what the last pack is gonna bring for me, and so we see what happens.
And what your deck's doing, because these cards indicate that black is open.
Yes.
None of these cards work with either Ruthless Sniper or Neheb. They're just cards.
Right. The removal spells and solid rate on a creature.
Yeah. So taking a look at the next couple picks here, you pick up a Minotaur, which works with Neheb. You pick up Unburden and Desert Ceradon. Those both work with Ruthless Sniper.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, okay, my deck is a little bit dual focused here. I'm not thrilled about that because I generally want my deck to be focused on one goal, but Unburden is a playable card. Desert Ceradon, you know, fine. And they work with Ruthless Sniper. There's a game plan. Let's see what else develops.
All right, taking a look at the next picks here, you round things out with a Fling and not a whole lot else.
Yeah, I'm still stressing these 2-drops now. I'm like going into pack 3, I'm like, oh my God, if I don't get any 2-drops, this deck is going to be really bad. So
right. Let's take a look at what pack 3 starts to bring you. Well, you got some 2-drops, Nefcrop Entangler and Battlefield Scavenger.
Yeah, so I picked Nefcrop Entangler over the black Cartouche of Ambition.
Wow.
And I'm, again, stressing that pick a lot, and I'm thinking to myself, wait, what have I gotten myself into?
But you have so many 3-drops and
Exactly.
so few 2-drops.
I need to lower the curve, and this is a pick where normally it's a slam dunk for the Cartouche, but in this specific spot, I had to go with the Nefcrop Entangler.
Also relevant, Battlefield Scavenger does work with the Ruthless Sniper, since he doesn't have to cycle, just has to discard.
Correct.
Taking a look at the next couple picks here, Pursue Glory kind of works with the just, you know, beat him down with Cursed Minotaur plan. Mostly it's there for Ruthless Sniper.
Yeah, it's a cycling card for Sniper, and it is actually kind of nice with Neheb. You get a bunch of first striking Minotaurs, and you can just really go nuts, make them like 6/2, 7/2.
Especially if they don't know that you're going to play a card out of your hand.
Correct.
And then you picked up a Wasteland Scorpion.
Yeah.
Taking a look at the next couple picks here, nothing got added to your deck.
Yeah.
3 cards got added to your sideboard.
Yeah, the Tormenting Voice, the Soul Scar Mage, and the Cartouche of Zeal. I'm thinking these cards might be playable. They ended up being the last cards that I'm agonizing over, whether I want to play a only 15 land deck with a super low curve, maybe a Tormenting Voice. I ended up not playing them. It's possible that I should have played the Voice over maybe Bloodlust Insider.
Yeah.
I ended up sideboarding out an Inciter for a Tormenting Voice, but I'm still kind of shaky on that.
Voice working with Ruthless Sniper is great. It also makes it more likely you can cast all your cards for Neheb.
Absolutely.
But your deck, even at this point, you're still like kind of straddling between the no cards in hand Minotaur beatdown plan with Bloodlust Inciter and Ruthless Sniper that wants cards like Unburden and Pursue Glory, which don't quite fit with the other game plan.
Well, I'm thrilled with Pursue Glory because it does kind of work with both game plans, as it's a good Hellbent card. It's a final card to slam the door shut. But I'm not thrilled with Unburden. I'm thinking this plan, I only have a Ruthless Sniper as a payoff. Maybe if we got an Archfiend of Ifnir or something, but that's unlikely.
Yeah, 10th pick, pack 3. Yeah, that's probably going to happen.
Yeah.
So then rounding out the draft here, no cards got added over your last couple of cards. You have, notably from like pack 2, for example, a Scarab Feast that you could have played to bolster the cycling theme, but just doesn't quite fit in your deck.
Yeah, I was thinking about playing like a 15-land special with just a bunch of low-cost cyclers and the Tormenting Voice, and maybe cutting possibly a Fling, or possibly, I guess you could cut one of the 3-drop creatures. But I mean, the 3-drop creatures, the 3-drop removal are all good rates for cards. I just wanted to play good cards, and I think that the final product is, well, I mean, it's right here as we see. It's playable. It's not great. It's got good removal. It's got a game plan. Right now I'm 0-2, so I'm not thrilled. I'm not really living up to my Twitter handle, but maybe we can dust off.
That's a 40-card Friedman for those who aren't aware.
40-card Friedman. So maybe we can dust off a win in the last round and make a run.
Maybe if you were a 41-card Friedman and had like an extra sweet card, you could have gotten there.
Yeah. Oh my.
But good luck in your last round, Ben. This is Ben Friedman, Luis Scott Vargas here with the Draft Viewer.